Director Walsh, do you want to get Doug McKee on the?
Louis,
Oh,
you got Doug on the phone? Yeah. He's on there.
I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
Perfect. Thanks, Louis.
can we get going?
Yep.
Ready?
Yeah.
Ready? Okay, call the meeting to order, please. Join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the
To
United
the
States
flag of the United States of America,
which it stands,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That delay caused a little problem. Hi, Doug.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. How are you?
Doing fine. Thank you for joining us from the skies.
You betcha. I appreciate the ability to do so.
I appreciate it. Roll call.
Chairman Nazarmi,
Here.
Vice Chairman Orr.
Here.
Doug McKee,
Here.
Keith Walker.
Here.
Chairman Nazarmi, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, approval of the January 10th, 2010 workshop minutes. And should we do it separate, or do we want to do it both at the same time?
Whichever your preference, Chairman.
Okay, we'll just combine the two together to be more efficient. Workshop minutes and also February 14th, 2018 meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that they be approved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Toby and a second by Keith Walker. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Okay. This time we have call to public. No comments? Okay. All right, we go to the new business. Discussion and possible action regarding the proposed building fee increases. Director Walsh?
Chairman Nazarmi, members of the board, thank you. This item has to do with the proposed fee increases. In February, the board elected to take no action and to refer this back to the Board of Supervisors to get to request direction on a proposed strategy and philosophy and on setting the fees for the building division. With that, I worked with the with staff and with county manager on coming up with a proposed philosophy and strategy to present to the board. That philosophy and strategy basically looked at basically addressing some of the customer service items that we've had in order to be able to provide better customer service to our applicants and to provide sufficient staff in order to address the applications that we receive. What we did is we looked at our vacancy rates, our ability to attract and hire qualified personnel for our positions. And what we found is that in looking at all of this, we found that our positions, our plan reviewers and our building inspectors are being recruited at a rate much lower than our neighboring cities and counties throughout Arizona. So what we found is part of the problem that we're having is being able to attract and retain those qualified personnel. So in an attempt to try and address that, we looked at a 10% increase for our plan reviewers and our building inspectors. And what that does is it changes the range in which we can hire new personnel. And currently our salaries and personnel costs make up about 8% or 80% of our building division budget. So a 10% increase to those salaries would require an 8% increase in fees. So what we did is we looked at all of this, and in order to make that increase and be able to be more competitive with the other cities and counties, we proposed as a strategy to the board and then for their recommendation and direction to both the Planning and Zoning and Building Code Advisory Board, as a strategy to approach those positions as hot jobs and allow for a 10% increase in those, which would then require an 8% increase in building fees. We believe that this will help us in filling those vacancies and help us in addressing, initially at least, this increase in building permits that we're receiving. Granted, if things continue as they are, we'll likely be coming back we'll continue monitoring it, and if the situation continues, we'll likely need to come back and request for an additional increase to be able to cover hiring of additional staff.
Thank you. And again, I understand because we're on the other side of the thing, we have what the Planning and Zoning Commission we had this morning. These items were referred back to the Board of Supervisors for some guidance from them. So could you elaborate on that too?
Yes, basically we took this, as you're seeing, this packet that you're able to, that you have regarding the fee increase was presented to the Board of Supervisors as our strategy in addressing the fee increase. So everything that you have before you was actually before the Board of Supervisors, and we presented it to them as this is how we would like to address the current issues that we have and to address the fee increase that we're proposing.
And they had the opportunity to provide any comments or, anything that they wanted to?
They reviewed the fees and it was approved. They reviewed the strategy and the fees, and they set a public hearing for the second meeting in June to have it come back to them, but they first wanted to send it back to the Building Code Advisory Board to see if there was any additional comments before they heard it in June.
Okay. Doug, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I just have a question, Director Walsh. Thanks for your words. You mentioned two percentages, a 10% increase and an 8% increase, and I missed what those were prospectively.
You bet, Chairman Azarmi. Board Member McKee, great question. I apologize. I get rambling a little bit quick at times.
That's okay. That's okay.
The 10% is what we'd be looking for in order to make our positions more competitive with other cities. So the 10% is actually the salary increase to my plan reviewers and my building inspectors. How that then relates into permit fees is my salaries make up 80% of my building division budget. So a 10% increase to my salaries equates to an 8% increase in building fees. So basically,
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
That make it all right.
Yes, no, I appreciate it, and I apologize. I know there's a delay, and I apologize. But thank you, Director Walsh. I appreciate that.
You bet. Thank you.
Okay. You have to push.
So, as far as the increase for the building inspectors and the plan reviewers, have you guys followed a standard schedule over a period of time where, say, the guys are reviewed every couple of years or 3 years or 5 years? Or another question that kind of relates to that, when was the last time they had raises? That's a big issue in a lot of areas right now. The last time they had raises, was it last year or 5 years ago? Or is it just kind of a random thing according to guys' qualifications?
It's a great question, and currently and I don't want to don't want to overspeak here, but the last raises that the building division or in general the county in general saw was, I want to say 2013. That was the last raise. The reviewers are they're reviewed annually. The reviewers and the building inspectors, all county personnel have an annual personnel review, but actual raises, the last raises that we're seeing were in 2013.
Okay, my understanding, Director Walsh, from what I read, is that you have a shortage of plan checkers and employment in general. And you basically did a kind of like a marketing analysis to see what you need to have in order to be able to attract new employees coming in and be able to sustain your employment that you already have on hand. And your recommendation is, the foundation of your recommendation is based on those factors and not necessarily the merit increase or, raise or anything like that. It's basically what we are trying to do is you're anticipating in 2018 and 2019 a better market. And, just like most of us, having problem with, hiring, employment, and, qualified people, it seems like from my understanding from your proposal is that, you're trying to recruit, but at the same time, you want to be able to maintain and sustain that employment instead of becoming like a training school to bring someone in, qualify them, and then they find a job in Clark County or somewhere else. Is that correct?
That's a great description. That's correct. And basically what we did is we looked at what our current ranges are, and then we looked at the 2018 local government salary and benefits survey that compares the cities and counties throughout Arizona. And what we found is that we were about anywhere from 10 to 17% behind what the others are paying. So what this does is basically puts our pay range in that competitive area. The building profession is very competitive right now, as I'm sure you all are well aware. And in trying to recruit plans examiners and building inspectors, we've found some difficulty. We have 3 temporary employees that we've hired on to help us in filling those gaps. And really what we're hoping to do is with this, be able to have a more competitive wage that will be able to attract qualified personnel, as well as to retain our personnel, so that, like you had mentioned, we don't become a stopping point onto something that pays better.
Okay. Board member? Good. Okay. Do we have anything? The only thing that, again, I echo what I said this morning at the Planning and Zoning Commission. And again, you know about it, and you and I have spoken about it many, many times. Yes, money is important, budget is very important, but more than anything else is going to be the consistency in the building department, and also streamlining it to be able to be more customer-oriented, I think is the key element in this. And again, since I've been here through a couple of different cultures of, Code Advisory Board in the past 29 years until now, I think that I can speak, very bluntly that, I'm hoping, and I know that you're doing your best. I know I'm fully aware of what you're trying to accomplish is going to be, a factor that was not, explained in the narrative that we have here is to have that opportunity to be able to make the department, the building department, to be consistent, to be customer-oriented, to be able to use common sense, which was brought up by one of the commissioners this morning, as well as, be as close as possible to private sector, things like that. Because I believe that, we have examined this in the past, that the cost of the permit going up and these, decimals or residuals that we have compared to the field cost is ignorable. It's not much. But yet by, creating a delay in a permit process or in construction process because of a non-essential item can cause a lot of field problem and cost problem. So, those builders who are out there are looking up to you to make sure that, we are heading in that direction that we had before. And I'm sure that you're doing, your best, and I personally know that you are working in that direction. So that's the only comment I have on that,
Thank you.
Doug, do you have anything else? I know you have a little delay there.
Yeah, just a couple of questions again. to Director Walsh. With the new hirings, what type of contract structure are we looking at? Let me back up. One of my biggest problems with the education system is the concept of tenure, and I've always been a firm believer in performance. So when tenure steps in, we have a whole host of teachers that don't perform up to the level. The students suffer and the community suffers because of it, financially and also from an education standpoint. Taking that concept of tenure and relating it to a contract structure, when we hire new employees or looking at new employees for plan review, inspectors, et cetera, what are we looking at? Is there any type of stopgap system in there that we can still attract people without giving them a dead-end contract, but without guaranteeing them a 10-year, 5-year contract if they're not up to the Mojave County standards?
And that's a great question. And basically what we have in place with Mojave County, and I'm not a complete expert on all of our HR policies, but I try to be. But I definitely, whenever I have questions, I'll get a hold of HR. So I might have him watch this video and make sure I didn't lead you astray. But basically, what we have in process with Mojave County is we have our merit rules, policies, and procedures, and basically what we do is we have an annual review with each employee throughout the county, and in that review we look at where are they at? Are they meeting expectations? Are they falling behind expectations? Are they exceeding expectations? And through that annual review, we have an opportunity to coach and mentor each employee and help them see where they're at and help them understand where they need to improve and all of that. But that's the baseline. On top of that, if at any point we're having issues with a specific individual, we'll address that right away, just to not allow those problems or those whatever issue is occurring. We want to address that right away so that clear expectations are set and so that they know what they need to be doing. So, but should I guess on the negative side, if that employee should elect to not comply with those expectations, there are a number of disciplinary actions that can be taken through the merit rules and the human resources policies and procedures to either correct that behavior or to help that individual understand what is expected of them, and if they're not meeting those expectations, then there are certain consequences that come with that. Does that help answer the question? I hope?
Okay. It does. And consequences, and I understand annual review, and you get somebody who comes on board, and everybody needs a fair opportunity to find out how their particular department works, et cetera. And a year is a fair time for that. With an annual review, how much time would we? And again, you might not have this contract structure in front of you or have it memorized, but how much time are they? If somebody is a complete I'm going to use the term failure out of a lack of a better word, at that annual review, they're certainly given an opportunity to come into compliance. What type of leeway are we giving them? I'm just afraid we get in a consistent situation where we hire 10 new people, 4 new people, whatever we're looking at, and then we're stuck with them for 5 years. I'm not coming to Mojave County unless I get a 5-year contract. Are we looking at steps to make sure that contract structured with those guarantees of a specific time don't exist?
And that's a great question. Actually, with the county, we for these specific positions, there are no contracts. It's basically you're hired on. We do have a 6-month probation. If at the end of that 6-month probation that employee is still not meeting expectations, we can elect to either terminate that employment, or we can elect to extend that probation as well. So we do have some options there that if we're not seeing the production or the performance that we expect, we do have some ways to either correct it or to sever that relationship.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it. Two other fairly quick questions. You had mentioned that the last time that the county got a blanket raise for the building department, or the development department, was 2013. But you said that there was a percentage of annual, a guaranteed annual. What is that percentage that's been given for the last 5 years, let's say?
There actually is no. If I misspoke, I want to apologize. There's been no increase since 2013.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood. I thought you said that there was a percentage of, an annual percentage that was already in place for the employees.
No, there isn't.
And that is not correct? Okay.
Yeah, no.
I misunderstood you then.
The last increase that the employees the last increase that's occurred was in 2013.
So there is no cost of living increase guaranteed for the development service employees?
That's correct.
Okay. And then one final question, if I may, Mr. Chairman. How many individuals are you looking at hiring, and I guess in what departments? An 8% increase. I understand that it's a 10% increase, and you're very clear on your how you achieve that 10% through your 80% salary funding from the department. But how many are we looking at hiring, and in which departments?
So, and that's a great question. Basically, what this increase does is we currently have, and now I'm trying to make sure I'm telling you right. Currently in Bullhead, I need a plans reviewer senior. In Kingman, I have a vacant building inspector position. I have currently 3 temporary employees, 2 inspectors, 1 inspector, basically 2 inspectors I have on temporary status, and 1 plans reviewer on temporary status. So basically what I'm looking at is being able to fill vacant positions, and to be able to look at these temporary employees, if they're meeting expectations, be able to bring them on full time. But a big part of it is being able to retain those that I have, and be able to fill the vacant positions that I have as well. So we wouldn't be looking at, with this increase, we're not looking at any new positions. It's really just filling the currently vacant positions.
Okay, and what I saw here was heard to was 2 very clear vacant positions. Was a building inspector for Kingman and a senior plan reviewer for Bullhead City. Can you give me a number that you're looking of vacancies to fill, I should say?
Those are my currently 2 vacant positions that I need to fill right away. I currently have 3, like I said, 3 other temporary employees that are filling, that are taking other roles as well, that are filling vacant positions. So actually on the books, I have 5 vacant positions. 3 of them are filled with temporary employees at this time.
Okay, and what are those 3 temporary positions that you? And forgive me, I think you said they were inspectors, field inspectors.
I've got 2 building inspectors, and then I've got a plans reviewer senior out of the Bullhead office, and then a plans reviewer position in Kingman.
Okay. Thank you, Director Walsh. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm good.
Thank you. Again, my understanding is that, your philosophy is not the seniority, it is the merit increase, and you always make your evaluation, and restructuring happens as needed, to be able to maximize the productivity.
That's correct.
I just want to make sure that, it's not like, it is automatic type of a thing that somebody comes in, stays on. So you're basically constantly evaluating that particular department, and all the decisions are being monitored by you as the director.
That's correct.
Thank you. Any comments, any questions? If not,
Just a general comment. I've actually been through several of these building permit fee increases over the years, and there's always resistance, no matter what. And I sort of feel sorry for you guys that you have to go to these meetings and hearings and listen to all the complaining. And I've just come to accept the fact that fees go up, there's inflation, costs go up. However, I think there's one generality, just a comment. I guess in a perfect world, the fact that we need more plan checkers and inspectors, well, we have more permits, we have more fees coming in. So from that vantage point, it really, in a perfect world, should finance itself. Another comment is we have all these what almost look like arbitrary increases in the fees. Say, we have a valuation here going from 20 to 2160, another going from 250 to 270. I know we have inflation, and I know costs go up. I think you could just eliminate all this stuff, and I know this won't happen, but I'm just maybe food for thought for the next time. Just bring the valuations up. It's all based on valuations. Increase the valuations based on inflation. You just have maybe one page instead of, all these, literally dozens. And to me, that would be an easier sell for the next time. I guarantee 3 years we'll be back. If I'm still around, we'll be back, and you'll be wanting another increase. So I'm just going to say, simplify the whole thing. You've had this much inflation. We're going to increase the valuations by this much, and that's what we're looking at. So,
Makes sense.
and I'll admit, I haven't really been close to the valuation schedules for a long time, but I know for a while there, when I was looking at them all the time, they were way, way undervalued. The valuations were, like $20 a foot for a warehouse, and now they're like, $80 a foot or something like that. So, you could make that adjustment, and I think it would simplify a lot of things. I'll shut up, that's all.
no,
That's a
you're
great
fine.
point.
All right, any other comments? Keith, you have anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay, it seems like, we are in agreement with what we basically discussed, and I entertain a motion.
So what are we
We are
moving here
approving to the staff recommendation that presented to us.
for all this?
No, not all this. It's basically just the item number 1, which is
Item number
discussion on action, proposed building fee increases.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 1
First.
as per staff's proposal to us.
Okay, then
I'll second that.
actually, as a point of discussion, then exactly what fee increases are we approving? I know we have it all.
Okay.
Right.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
I'd be happy to. In the proposed ordinance 2018-02, on page 6, you'll see the proposed fee increases. Basically, as you pointed out, Toby, is where it was 20, it went up to 2160, 20, and then, basically, what all those numbers represent is an 8% increase.
Right.
So we went through the building permit fees and adjusted them with an 8% increase.
So they're based on an 8% increase, that's
That-
correct. So that's uniform throughout.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
And then the only other change that you'll see in here is that we clarified a little bit on the standardized plans on page 17. Review to establish standardized plan set is the 25% plus 100, which was in there. It was just, this clarifies it to make it,
Which this item is the one we had before, and we decided that it's not going to be like an annual,
Yeah, just a one-time.
extension. It would be until the code changes.
that's correct.
Right.
Okay,
Very good.
I accept that.
Okay, we have a motion by Board Member Walker, second by Board Member McKee. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay, item number 2, discussion and possible action regarding ordinance amendments as discussed at the January 10th workshop. So please elaborate on that one.
You bet. Chairman Azarmi, members of the board, what we did is we went through the January 10th workshop, pulled all those recommendations and incorporated them into the existing Mojave County Ordinance 2015-04. If I may, what I'd like to do is be able to go page by page and go through those, and then at the end, if we could get a motion, however you would like.
Director Walsh, what you're saying is that, this is already in place at 2015, and basically what we are doing is that few comments that we had is going to be added to it.
That's correct. The ordinance number 2015-04 is the ordinance that approved the 2012 building codes
Right.
as amended. And then basically what we're doing is going into that ordinance and pulling certain things out, amending it per our discussions that we've had and per the workshop. So as we go through this on page, there are no changes up until page 8. And page 8, this is the proposal, excuse me, the proposal to add the 2006 IRC as an approved alternate means and methods to the 2012 building code, which basically opens up the entire 2006 IRC to be able to be used instead of the 2012. So that's that there. You'll see add accept the 2006 IRC as an approved method. Then moving on, and you'll see some of the numbers, those were addressed just because as we added amendments, the numbers changed. So you'll see some of that being revised as well. Page 10, under the new...
Chairman Walsh, I'm sorry. For some reason, my pages are not corresponding with yours. Can you just tell me the section you're looking at, and then I could locate it
You bet. So that initial one would be section... that was dealing with section R104.11, alternate materials, design methods of construction and equipment. And then the amendment would be add accept the 2006 IRC as an approved method. And that's under section 2, amendments and deletions.
Okay, thank you.
And then continuing under section 2, amendments and deletions, down to what used to be number 8 is now number 9. It's section R108.7, standardized plan review. At the end, we're adding plans approved as standardized plans will be valid until the next code adoption. And then down from that, table R301.2, that whole paragraph is removed. And the reason for that, it goes along with the previous adding 2006 as an approved method. That basically addresses this, so we were able to pull that out. And then the next page, section E30401, or I'm sorry, section E3401, amend to require a qualified contractor, and I need to make a change here. It says amend to require a qualified contractor for services that exceed 400 amps. I need that that was an error we missed. It should read amend to require a qualified contractor for services 400 amps or greater. And then continuing, we've got on page 14 or section 1609.3 basic wind speed. That entire paragraph comes out, is deleted, and that's also due to the adding the 2006 as an alternate means and methods. And then continuing on, on page 18, under E, the National Electric Code, adding number 1, Article 110.1, general scope, amend to any electrical plans submitted for services 600 amps, and I need to add in there, or more, shall be submitted and sealed by an Arizona licensed registrant. And then continuing, I believe that addresses it. There was one that was left out that I need to add in there regarding the garage door openers. And I don't have the specific section yet, but we can add that in prior to taking it to the board. But basically, this was one that we have discussed about not needing the GFI for the garage door opener. And in the workshop, I'll just read from the minutes. It said, the garage door opener not be GFI protected as long as it was a single outlet, basically as long as it was a single outlet. So what we'll do is add that in there to take to the Board of Supervisors, but basically allowing for the garage door outlet to not be GFI if it is a single outlet. And that covers all of those. Be happy to answer any questions.
Basically, what we are doing is that we already had this. We are just adding a little bit, tweak it a little bit, and that's it. We want to get it through the Board of Supervisors.
Definitely, and I offer this
correction.
to the board and really to any of our contracting community. If there is something in the code that doesn't apply or that doesn't meet common sense, please bring it to my attention, and I'll present it to the board for your consideration. And we can continue. Basically, this 2015-04 is a living document. As we find things that don't apply to our area or that don't fit, we'll present it to you, take your recommendations to the board, and make those changes as we can.
Doug, do you have any comments?
Just one that I was looking when I was looking at this note last night, and I can't find the section right now, and I apologize. I was kind of viewing through it. There was one on the in the violations section talking about the permits. And please understand my comments. I am never suggesting that anybody build something without a building permit. I am, a licensed contractor, and I would like them to be used in the state. But there was something in here that talked about. I know during high volume building, and sometimes the building department, we're like, as an example now, we are looking at 30 days at getting a plan review back. Many of us have employees, and let's say that we have built a home several times. It has been through plan review, let's say in a subdivision case or just randomly in the county. As long as we have submitted for that plan, submitted for that permit, I've noted in the past that many of the local contractors have gone ahead and started railing the house, getting it ready, starting some underground plumbing, doing the sewer connect, and not doing anything that doesn't require an inspection, not covering up anything, but it allows us to save times. Sometimes that 30 days that is between submitting for a permit and actually receiving it, we can make up quite a bit of time. I don't know how the board feels about that, but I was looking at some violation fees that would be equal to, and again I apologize, equal to the plan review fee for projects that are started without a permit. Or did I misinterpret that, Chairman Walsh or Director Walsh?
I think I understand. Basically, the question is if you've got something submitted, you're waiting to get the approval, and basically you're proceeding at risk. The fear is that you're going through all of this, and while you're waiting for it, we come out, red tag you, and you have on top of the plan review fee, you've got a penalty fee. Is that pretty much the question?
Correct.
And that's a very good
Correct.
question.
And I'm talking about building. I'm talking about building on a lot that has been pinned, surveyed, everything, just ready for the inspector to walk on and do his very first inspection.
Gotcha. And I'm trying to think of the best way to answer, or the best way.
If I may answer. Doug, it basically goes back to my initial recommendation to Director Walsh to understand the other side of the fence, the builder's point of view. Each builder has certain scheduling that has to have, certain manpower that they have to coordinate. They have to line up jobs. And I believe that, the consistency is, that what I was mentioning. I just put it in a kind of a closed envelope type of a thing, because I know that you are fully aware of the issues that we have out there. I believe that, Doug's comment is that because of that anticipation that we have, to be able to, from a contractor's point of view, when they apply for a permit, obviously all the requirements and contingencies were met and they're ready to go. And, the timeline is going to be very important from the contractor point of view to make sure that, in a reasonable amount of time, this permit is back. And even if it's not, what do we have to do? Do we sit down on a large overhead and not, launch it, or what? So I mean, that's where it comes back to your direction on the building department and the level of the service that can team up with us. Because the way I look at it, both sides of the table, they're working together. Yep. The contractors are working to be able to get the production up. And production up means that, your budget is up. So you would be able to provide service. And as we talked about this morning, by the state statute, the permit fee that you collect is for the services that rendered back to that particular application. So it basically goes back to, the quality of the service, the streamlining, consistency that we have on that. And I know for a fact, Doug, that Director Walsh is doing his best to get to that point that they would be able to, go back to where we were, let's say 2 years ago, with, a certain anticipation of the return of the building permits and production.
Thank you. And yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just acknowledging Chairman Nazrami's comments.
Okay. Do we have any comments, Toby?
Director Walsh? Yeah, please.
Okay. Doug, do you have any comment because of the delay we didn't hear? Do you have any comment on it?
Just basically, and I apologize for the delay, just basically, where does that put us, Director Walsh? And I wanted to ask you personally, because like the chairman says that we have overhead and we have employees that may, we may just be having to do busy work while we're sitting around waiting for a permit actually to be issued. So what type of restraints are being put on with that fee, that violation fee, for setting out our guys on a house that is in plan review, on a lot that's been pinned, everything is up to par, and we just need to save some time and get some stuff on the way. What type of stop are we looking at?
My direction on that would be, if you've got a plan and review, and basically it's waiting on us to get it back out and go through there, it definitely has, there's an at-risk nature. If going through plan review, we see something that needs to be changed, that would need to be fixed. But I'm not going to go and penalize a contractor for something that we're not, if you're on the early end of it, you're grading your lot off, you're putting your footings in, you're putting, whatever minor stuff in, and you've got it in plan review. I think in good faith, we understand that you're trying to do what you should be doing. We're not going to come out and levy penalties against you if we see that you're getting things ready for that.
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate that.
I'll go ahead and add,
And if I may qualify that, with regards to residential.
Yes.
Commercial, we're talking a whole nother animal,
Yes.
and I don't want to open up that bag
I
of
agree.
worms.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Go
So
ahead,
I
Tony.
was just going to say, yeah, Tim, I can understand your position. You cannot go tell us, yeah, go ahead and start the house, the permits. And I know very well that a lot of contractors will take advantage of a situation. And yeah, I'm sure you've seen it yourself. They'll take it and push it as far as they can. So I think just the fair thing to ask for is fair-mindedness. If somebody abuses this, fine the heck out of them. If they're being fair and
Well-
reasonable, then we would expect you to be fair and reasonable.
Well, the whole.
And it is at risk,
Right.
at risk.
Risk, yeah.
Well, at the same time, when we were talking about the start, they can go to a certain point and they have to stop anyway because let's say that they do the
Correct.
underground plumbing,
Can't bury it.
they cannot bury it. They have to leave it open and ask for until the permit is issued, and then call for the underground plumbing inspection. In the past, I'm talking about let's say 2005, 2006. When we had a boom coming our way, which was really major, I know that, it was very important to anticipation of turnaround on the permit was, okay, within if you turn it in on Monday, by Friday, you have the inspection, you have the permit reviewed and all that, and then, builders would be able to schedule accordingly, going that, fast. In terms of okay, if you start on Wednesday, by the time we get the permit on Friday, we call for Monday. So everything falls into place, and it is helpful on both ends. And again, that's something that, I anticipate Director Walsh is going to look into to bring to the building department to the point that, there would be some sort of a anticipation of a certain scheduling that we would be able to accommodate the builders. And right now, we all understand, we're not there, and I'm positively sure that, Director Walsh is fully aware of it, and I'm sure that we'll get there.
Definitely.
Okay, so having said that, you have any comments?
Just one more comment. I really liked your comment, Tim, on the fact that the code is and can be a living, breathing document, and nothing is set in stone, and if something does come up, because this is a problem and a pet peeve of mine in the past, fairly distant past now, that after 2 or 3 years, there'd be some minuscule paragraph somewhere somebody'd dig up that would just come back to just bite you in the butt. And those are the kind of things we contractors really don't like. So living, breathing, I like that terminology. And
Yeah.
sort of while I'm on that subject, when are we going to be up for a new code? And I'm not sure. I've kind of lost track of the cycle. Is 2015 the latest one, or
18's actually out there right now,
18.
and it would be. Thank you for bringing that up.
Well, and not to interrupt you, but I know at one point it was said maybe it would be on a six-year cycle. So I think we're 2012 to 18, so that means we need to start looking at 18. I don't know.
And definitely with ISO ratings and flood control, insurance ratings, and all of those types of things, it's very beneficial to the residents if we're as current as possible. So I would be more than happy to start looking that direction with you all on looking at the 2018 and looking at possibly some of the amendments that we want to start addressing in moving that direction.
I'm even scared to ask, who wrote up, 2018? Is that Simpson, who basically lobbied and they wrote the code, or is it the new, manufacturer that came on board and lobbied to be in the driver's seat? So we're gun shy, definitely. But again, at least in the Mojave County, at least, I know that the common sense was very important, and we kind of took it apart and tried for a period of time, that, we softened it up to the point that was practical, because those homes that were up in 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000 are still up. So they were not that bad, that, we jeopardized the safety of the people or anything like that in general. One thing I may add to Toby's comments, in my opinion, on the very first page of the code, in a very large font, it should say common sense. And I think that is one thing that is absolutely missing, because what happens in Michigan is different than happening in Bullhead City. Minus 50 degree to, 135 degree, you cannot apply the same thing. And I believe a lot of misunderstandings that I see between, the inspectors, plan review, and contractors is based on the fact that the way that we are trying to have like one size fit all, which is not applicable. Even, between Kingman and Bullhead City, there are two different construction culture. So I hope that, we get to that point that we use common sense a lot, and make sure that, it would be applicable to, the code that is going to be implemented in the thing. So with that, I believe, Toby is yawning, so he wants to go home. Keith?
I got a question
Keith?
for Gilbert's here representing the building department. Everything we talked about today, you guys are good with, right? We've talked about all this back in January.
Yeah, it's fairly reasonable, yeah.
Yeah, I was just, I think I remember going over everything we
Yeah.
talked about today, and
That's correct.
Okay. With that, if I may entertain a motion for item number 2.
Okay, so,
I motion.
okay,
Second.
I second.
Okay, we have Board Member McKee make the motion, and seconded by Board Member Toby Orr. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I believe the next item would be the date for the next meeting, right?
That's correct. Pull my calendar out here. Let's see. So we're in May. Is there a specific month that works best for the board?
next May.
Are you thinking about like 3 months, or what are you looking for?
We could do, so August, August would be, if we're looking to continue with scheduling the same as the Planning and Zoning Commission, if that works best for everybody, August would be August 8th.
And by then, I assume that these 2 items already been before the board and,
Yes.
reviewed
Yep,
and
they will have
whatever.
been.
Okay.
There's August 8th, September would be September 12th. If either of those work for everybody.
I think depends.
I'm here in the morning anyway, so either works for me.
Let's go August 8th.
August 8th?
Okay.
August 8th. Let me take a peek at the 8th. Yeah, August 8th works for me as well.
Thank you.
So same time, 1:30?
Yep, 1:30 on August 8th.
Okay.
And if I may, Chairman Azarmi, I'm currently working with trying to pull in some additional applicants to fill some of the vacant seats that we have. If you all have anybody that you would like me to reach out to be able to invite them to fill out an application, I'm hoping to present to the Board of Supervisors a list of names of people that have provided me with applications and ask for their selection to fill the vacant seats that we have.
Sounds good. And I know that you
Thank
have
you.
to have certain selection in terms of like architect. and-
Yeah, we've got, there's a list of 5 of them, and it'll take me a while to find it.
No, I
But yeah, I can email that out to the board, and
Okay.
let you know as well.
Last but not least, definitely we miss Paul Silberg. Unfortunately, it was a very unfortunate situation
Yes.
that we lost him in that boat accident. We did have a celebration of life for him this morning at the Planning and Zoning Commission, and again, our prayers to his family, Judy, and his family. And he was very knowledgeable. He was providing us with a lot of vision and also knowledge of the construction. I had the opportunity to be, on several meetings with him, and one was the Code Advisory Board, Planning and Zoning Commission, Technical Advisory Board, Land Use Ordinance. So his, knowledge, and at the same time, his great sense of humor will be missed. So with that, Toby, do you have anything to say about Paul? Okay, Keith? All right, Doug?
Chairman, you said it all. He was a gentle, polite, and wonderful man. A friend to just about everybody. Always had a handshake out, a smile on his face. Always made you feel good when you see him. And I miss his friendship. I miss his smile and his warmth. So I appreciate the opportunity and your kind words, Chairman.
Director Walsh, you have anything?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Nazami. As I mentioned this morning, Paul left an impact on this county, both on his service here for the county, but in all of the architecture that he left behind. He really made the county a better place. So he will be missed for sure.
I'll make a comment here, a little on the lighter side. I only saw Paul mad once in 35 years, and that's when we changed one of his designs.
Gilbert, do you have anything? All right, with that, I enter a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Doug, thank you for your time. I appreciate that. I know you're a busy man, so I appreciate you helping us today to have decorum.
We are all busy, and I appreciate the opportunity and to appear telephonically. And next time, I'd like to see all your faces.
Great, thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.